Hey everybody, this is Ryan Cozy. I hope and pray that you're doing well this week. We're on to week 2, and so we've got some new things that we're going to be discovering this week. Again, I want to reinforce a framework that we're trying to make sure that you're engaged with, specifically as it relates to this fully online course. Number 1 is prepare, 2 is understand, 3 is develop, and 4 is turn in. So specifically, I want to highlight a couple of things. One, as it relates to the reading, you're going to be reading from Wright chapters 4 verses 6 this week, from Dwight Smith chapters 3 and 4, and you're also going to be engaging the Christ Together field guide and videos. That would be session 3 and session 4, and those links are available within your syllabus, and they should also be available online with the work in the discussion board that I'll present to you. Now, I want you to take a little bit of time and focus specifically on the reading for C.J.H. Wright specifically. Number 1 is you're going to be reading chapters 4 through 6, and I want to highlight these chapters. Number 1, when we arrive at answers, okay? In chapter 4, Wright's going to talk with you about being a people who are a blessing to the nations. He's, in chapter 5, going to talk about people who walk in God's way. And in chapter 6, he's going to talk about people who are redeemed for redemptive living. Now, why do I want to focus on this? Well, I want to remind you each week, because this is really important, the difference between just teaching strategic planning at a secular research university and teaching strategic planning at a seminary is the tightness of the tether to the Word of God that we're going to employ in this process. So when Wright is speaking, specifically, I want you to prepare your mind, okay? I want you to think about the things that you think you may already know, specifically as it relates to being a people who are a blessing to the nations, people who walk in God's way, and people who are redeemed for redemptive living. I want you to think about what you may already know. It may set up in your mind as, oh yeah, I knew a little bit about this already, or there may be some things that you can reflect on and go, as I read this, I actually already knew that. And I want you to take notes about that. But I also want you to begin to understand and hear what Smith has to say that's a little bit different this week, or what Wright specifically, and I'm highlighting Wright because I just think it's just fun to teach a course on strategic planning and to be able to completely tightly tie it to the Word of God and why this makes sense for us theologically to do that we employ a methodology toward the saturation, seeing that every man, woman, and child would have repeated opportunities to hear, see, and respond to the gospel, and the strategy that comes up out of that has a theological tether, a biblical tether to it. So I want you to begin to discover and understand that there are some ideas that are going to be presented here in Smith's work, or in Wright's work, or in the Christ Together field guide and videos that you'll have there. Discover and investigate some of those things that you weren't thinking about necessarily, and begin to put those in a category of, hey, these are new understandings that I'm developing. Because as you begin to document these things, it's going to help you as you think about the assignments that you have, yes, but also when you walk out of this classroom, there's going to be some tools that you're going to want to have in your tool belt. And if you don't have those tools in your tool belt by writing those things down, I think you're limiting your overall understanding of what you can take away from this course. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to develop and begin to focus and integrate some ideas that you're now newly discovering and saying, hey, how do those things apply to my job? Or how do those things apply to my specific role as a practitioner of the gospel, as a volunteer at a faith-based nonprofit, or as an employee, or as just a mobilized arm of the body of God throughout your neighborhood, or throughout your family, or throughout your area of influence, or your sphere of influence? These are all important things that you need to be contemplating. And the manifestation of that is for you to turn in something. So this week we're going to turn in another 500-word discussion board. That's about 2 pages double-spaced that you'll submit electronically on your discussion board. Now you'll have to do that by Thursday of this week. And I want you, again, it's a little bit more wide open, but I want you to specifically focus on, in 500 words, I want you to pick on something, whether it's from Wright or Smith or the Christ Together work. I want you to take a look at those things and write about the things that you most likely take away. Now that's going to be due by Thursday of this week. So make sure that you have that done by this week Thursday, by midnight. In addition to that, you need to respond to 2 other discussion boards that are posted in no less than 250 words. Now, Gang, I'm going to do a word count on this. Not because I want to be a stickler for it, but I need to evaluate you all against one another and in the growth and the development of just how you're doing in the course. And I want you to be able, some people want to do way more than 250 words. Some people don't want to do 250 words. I want you to be right around 250 words because you need to be able to practice to me that the succinctness and the clarity of your thought, not being too verbose. And at the same time, you also need to be able to provide some critical thought and not just say, hey, good job, I really like that. Your responses to the discussion boards are opportunities for you to critically engage with what you're learning. It doesn't necessarily mean just being critical. It means critically engaging and saying, hey, listen, when I read this, here are some cool things that I thought or some interesting things I took away. But hey, here's some other things that I'm thinking about as well in conjunction with what you presented. Okay, so prepare yourself this week. Understand some new things. Develop in your understanding of those things and synthesize for me by turning into me some projects, a discussion board that you're specifically going to show me what you learned this week. And you're going to reply to the responses of others. Thanks, gang. I hope and pray that you're doing well, and I hope and pray you have a blessed week. Any questions? rkozey@thechapel.com. That's rkozey@thechapel.com. God bless you.